Hi, I'm Jennie Taylor Martin, a director here at Edgar Cayce's A.R.E. Today I have the privilege of speaking with John Van Auken, who's an expert on Cayce and on ancient mysteries, and he's here to talk about his new book, 2038, The Great Pyramid Timeline Prophecy. Hi, John. Thanks for being with us today.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be here.
When did you discover the Great Pyramid Timeline Prophecy, and can you give us an introduction to what it's about?
Believe it or not, it was over 40 years ago. I was in my early 20s roaming through the fantastic Edgar Cayce library upstairs in this Cayce Center in Virginia Beach, and I came across David Davidson's book on the Pyramid Prophecy Timeline. And I started looking through it, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. He was expressing a fact that the ancient Egyptians knew the entire story of the children of God, or what the Egyptians called the godlings, descending out of heaven, going through many cycles through the earth, and ascending back out of here. The entire story. It was mind-boggling to me. For several years, I was a mess, trying to think, how could anyone know the entire story? Is it that destined? Is it that fated? Is it known at some level that I'm not aware of? And of course, I was living normal life where tomorrow was uncertain. And here I was reading this, and visually, Davidson was showing you the visuals. I have in the book here the amazing layout of the Great Pyramid and the descent into matter and the ascent back into spirit. And I was shocked. It was amazing. And then over a period of many years and 35 tours of Egypt, I started to discover more and more about the details and about many others beyond Davidson who actually knew about this. And that's when I really started to collect the information that eventually became the book.
Why do you think the prophecy was created using the Great Pyramid?
That's a good question. Of all the pyramids around the planet, and they're everywhere around the planet, even in China, the Great Pyramid is unique and a phenomenal archaeological achievement. And it is the only remaining wonder of the world of the original ancient 7 wonders of the world. It is built to last and carved in such a way that archaeologists from the 1500s, the 1600s, the 17 and 1800s were amazed as they thoroughly examined it at how, given the theory of evolution, ancient people could build something that we could hardly build today. The features, the layout, the weight of some of the stones, the arrangement, the beautiful way that the stones have been cut and put together were so unique that it was evident to everybody this was intentionally done for a purpose bigger than just building a tomb.
How did the Egyptian Book of the Dead coincide with this prophecy?
It's a fascinating concept that these archaeologists in the 1800s discovered that the magnificent Egyptian Book of the Dead and all these colorful papyruses had chapters and passages that appeared to be referring to chambers and pathways in the Great Pyramid. And they were giving them names that were more of a metaphysical nature and relating them to stages on the journey of our soul growth. And I was stunned, and I just started gathering the material and started studying the Egyptian Book of the Dead and pulling out those little areas where obviously they were talking about something called the light, and the archaeologists noticed that the glyph over the entrance, the original entrance, not the one we use as tourists, to the Great Pyramid is the horizon of heaven, which is often called the light. And so there was the correlation between the light and the light. One was physical and the other was in words and ideas and metaphysical.
What needs to happen for us to find the holorecords that Cayce talked about? And could it be related to this prophecy in any way?
Yes, it was amazing when I started to read all of the Edgar Cayce discourses on ancient Egypt. And so in the book, I had to write this chapter about the reincarnation of an ancient Egyptian high priest, Ra-Ta, which, as you might know from Howard Church's great little book, The Lives of Edgar Cayce, was one of his major incarnations. And so here he was giving all this information as a reincarnated ancient Egyptian. And the information was amazing. And he actually was point blank asked, what about Davidson's material? And he said, in the most correct. And that's when I really started to get into it, because if he was affirming that most of this story is correct, then I needed to know and see the correlation myself and present it to others. In the Cayce story, he adds this strange element about Atlantean stone records, that the Atlanteans knew it was the end of their culture and their continent. And so they were sending off a collection of 32 stone tablets to 3 locations on the planet to hide them, until the children of God, or as the Egyptians called us, the godlings of the great God, were ready to rediscover them and learn the truth of the story. Edgar said the opening of these hiding places would only occur when humankind was ready. And so I have been to these locations, and I can see why he's correct on that. You can be standing right on top of it and not able to get to it. At some point in the future, something's going to happen. Either nature will move something, or humankind will discover or fall into something, and we will see the tablets. And on the tablets are recorded this fantastic story of the descent into matter and the ascent back into spirit.
Do you think that'll happen in 2038?
Yeah, that's the key. The date 2038 is because Edgar Cayce's readings say that when the prophecy reaches the apex of above the king's chamber, and you use the pyramid inch to measure, the dates correlate to the inches, and that date is 2038. He says the prophecy's over, and the 5th root race begins, the new age begins, and lots of changes occur. However, he does say the changes are gradual. There are body changes. The body will become lighter. It will have 12 chakras instead of 7, which we're all so familiar with. Your mind will be more 4th dimensional, which we're moving into because a lot of us have really started to appreciate and quickly see metaphor. And metaphor is a 4th dimensional perception.
How do you think things will be different in 2038?
I think that era is going to be mind expanding, physically enlivening for the soul inhabiting the body, and perhaps more of a collective planet where we all feel like we're one family.
John, I love your book, and it is just beautifully illustrated. Thank you so much for talking with us today.
You're welcome.
John's book, 2038, The Great Pyramid Timeline Prophecy, is published by Fourth Dimension Press, an imprint of A.R.E. Press, and is available at arecatalog.com.